Thokozani bakhanyiselwa. On this video, we'll be finishing off with the teachings zabangoba abafihliweyo. It's only a few things that are left for us to cover, in fact. And remember that we are still learning from Mandlalanga through the teachings of Patrick Bowen. All right, so let's just get down to it. So we're going to continue from where we ended last time. My teacher gave the following account of the brotherhood in which he holds the rank of a master. We call our brotherhood bona bakhulu baseKhemu, using the ancient Bantu speech, which is the mother tongue of the most widespread group of languages on the continent. The name may be tendered in English as the Brotherhood of the Higher Ones of Egypt. The Brotherhood was founded in Egypt in the reign of Pharaoh Cheops, its founder being a priest of Isis, and it has its object the spreading of the wisdom which comes from old among all races and tribes in Africa, and the study and practice by its members of what we call ukwazi kwesithabango, which means that science which depends on the power of thought. It is the only true science there is. These are the grades of the brotherhood and some of the powers and functions they exercise. The pupil. The pupil is under probation, which lasts from 1 to 3 years. During this time, he is under instruction by a master and subjects himself to certain disciplines. If found worthy, he enters the brotherhood as a disciple at the end of his period of probation. If unworthy, he is dismissed back to the world. The disciple is an avowed member of the brotherhood and subject to its disciplines. Under instruction, he develops certain powers. That which in English is called mesmerism is usually one of the earliest to develop. The brother, a full member of the order with many developed powers, of which I may mention only the power of communication by thought with those of equal or higher development, and what European occultists term astral consciousness. The elder. The elder is an advanced brother. The master. The teacher of all lower grades. The master has many developed powers, clairvoyance and clairaudience on the etheric plane, and control in a certain degree of master, among many others. Mastership can be attained only by one who in past life has reached elder brotherhood. Those who know the Isangoma. Of these, it is not permitted to speak. Safe to say, they have attained consciousness on the plane of the real self. Only one who has reached mastership in a previous life can gain Isangomaship. Besides the above, we have lay disciples and lay brothers. They are men who are prevented by circumstances from becoming vowed to the brotherhood. They are subject only to self-imposed disciplines and receive but such teachings as can be given from afar. We have many lay disciples, not merely in Africa, but in Asia, Europe, and America. Lay brothers, however, are but few, for without direct instruction from a master, few can reach this grade without incurring grave dangers. We constantly warn all unavowed disciples against the danger of attempting to attain a brother's powers, unaided by the direct instruction of a master. Let it not be thought that our Isangoma, elevated though they be, represent the supreme development possible to man on the physical plane. It is not so. There are others. not of any brotherhood, save the brotherhood of all. We call them Abakhulu Bantu. That is the supreme ones or perfect men. These are men for whom the necessity for rebirth has ceased. They dwell on earth in physical form by their own will and retain or relinquish that form as they choose. I speak of them but to assure the people of their existence. Few below the grade of a master have ever seen one in the flesh, though all from disciple upward may meet them in the spirit. From this we learn about the short history of this Mpande, this mystery school, and where it comes from. They say it comes from Kemu, right? So Impande yase Kemu, ancient Egypt. And it was founded during the reign of Pharaoh Cheops or Khufu. Pharaoh Khufu was the second pharaoh of the fourth dynasty in the early Old Kingdom. So you must know that at this time, Kemet was at its prime. Pela, the Old Kingdom was like the golden ages of Kemu. There was a lot of enlightenment throughout the land. This mystery school was founded during this intense time of enlightenment. The founder of this lineage was a priest of Isis, meaning that this is a female initiation school. Credo Mutwa tells us that there are two branches in the Bantu religion. One is the religion of the father, and the other one is the religion of the mother. The Abakhulu Basekemu belong to the mother branch. They say their main objective was to bring enlightenment to all races and all tribes in Africa. A group of initiates would travel to different parts of Africa to bring enlightenment where it is needed. They helped tribes to develop, and they brought new knowledge to the tribes and new technologies. They formed new tribes and established new civilizations among the tribes. Right? They also reintroduced the 7 great initiations among the tribes that had forgotten such initiations. Impande Kama, the mystery school of Isis, is a very ancient school that even predates Kemu, ancient Egypt, right? Such that even Kemu was named after this ancient initiation school, hence the name Koma, which among many things has to do with the initiation of manhood and womanhood, and in fact mostly has to do with the initiation of womanhood. I did a video about the mystery history of initiation, and in that video I spoke about the ancient ones, the old ones, and the new ones. I spoke about how the ancient ones were governed by women. This is the time when women used to rule the world. Then when those civilizations fell and men started taking over the women, the ancient initiations of those civilizations went underground. And ever since then, they have been hidden under the mysteries of Isis, where you would also find the mysteries of Osiris. These were very high initiations, right? And everyone in the tribe had to undergo these procedures. But after the fall of the ancient ones, the initiations were dumbed down and were separated into different levels of, initiation, where now they would initiate a whole group of boys into manhood, and only a chosen few would be selected to be initiated further into the deeper mysteries. So Impande Kama is a very ancient school of initiation. It is a very secretive school also. Women are very secretive by nature anyway. Plus in Kemu, There was also a time when the initiates of ISIS had to go underground, when the foreigners started taking over. This was probably during the late Middle Kingdom. So hidden were these initiates that when you told people that you are a priest of Isis, people would be very skeptical, because at that time people thought that such a priesthood had long died out, and indeed it would be quite dangerous for one to confess such a thing publicly at that time, because the invaders, the dark warriors, were actively seeking to destroy the ancient lineages of the initiates. We are further told that the school in which Mandlalanga is a master is called Bona Abakhulu Basekhemu, and that this phrasing is an ancient Bantu dialect that is the foundation of all Bantu languages. Bona Abakhulu Basekhemu means the high ones of ancient Egypt. This name is interesting because it can also be understood as Bo Nabakhulu Basekhemu, as in Onabakhulu. Enaba is a master. In ancient Khemu language, it was called Neb, which means the same thing as Nab. It means Lord or Master. So the Nabakhulu is a great master. When we say Bonabakhulu, we are also saying the great Nabas of ancient Egypt. Another name for this school is Abangoma Abafihliweyo. The initiates in the north call it Abangoma Abafihliweyo, and the ones in the south call it Bonabakhulu Basekhemu. Mandlalanga also explains that the school deals with the wisdom that comes from old. It deals with the science of the mind, ukwazi kwesithabango, which he says is the only science there is. He also tells us that this mystery school has 6 degrees plus the 7th, which doesn't belong to any school. Mandlalanga says there's the pupil, the disciple, the brother, the elder, the master, and those who know, which is Izangoma. Then there's the Abakhulu Bantu. The Abakhulu Bantu are the ascended masters. So you should understand, Bakanyiselo, that these people are actually working towards ascension. This is the Bantu version of ascension. The thing that many people don't understand is that ascension is an ancient concept. It didn't just come with religion or the New Age. Ascension has always been known among the tribes. Ascension has always been the fundamental goal of all initiatory traditions. There are also ancient lineages that exist to this day, lineages that are very committed to this goal. That is why on the video about the ancestral cloths, I always emphasize that each and every cloth has its own ascension, meaning each and every cloth has its own 7 degrees of initiation or 360 degrees. So if we can contextualize the 7 degrees of initiation with this text, we can say that the pupil is the initiate of the first degree. You must notice that as much as the pupil is under the instruction of a master, the pupil must subject himself to certain disciplines. It's not that the master must subject the pupil to certain disciplines. The master simply instructs the pupil. So this mystery school is like a school of self-initiates, really, as much as they initiate people, but they have this emphasis on self-initiation and putting effort. When Patrick Bowen, the writer of this article, was under the instruction of Mandlalanga, he says he was given certain pieces of enlightenment, which he had to meditate on. He would receive a piece of information like an ancient text, and he would go home and study it and meditate upon it. Then he would come back after a few days or a few weeks to report whatever insights that he received during his meditation on such a text. After that, Mandlalanga would then enlighten him on the meaning of the text. So they would give him ancient manuscripts to copy, and he would go home, read and reread and meditate, and he would memorize some of these ancient manuscripts as part of his ritual of instruction. And then he would come back to report his findings. Most of these teachings are actually based on spirit initiation. It's like the enlightenment of a spirit initiate. Because really, as much as you are receiving instructions from a gobela or a guru, you are the one who is responsible for applying those instructions. Just like a spirit initiate, as much as she is receiving instructions from the spirit, she is the one who has to apply those instructions. Even when you read the article, you'll find Mandlalanga telling Patrick Bowen that, yes, I will take you as a student. I can teach, but I will not guarantee that you will learn. Abangoma abafihliweyo bathi, awunabafo, awunasitha, awunagobela kulo mhlaba. You have neither brother, nor foe, no teacher in all the world. This is something I actually forgot to add on the previous video. Among the 7 great initiations, all of which we have spoken about here in these lessons Zabangoma Abafihliweyo, is part of first degree knowledge. The knowledge of the first degree is basically the knowledge that we already know. Traditional healers, religious people, and even our modern day science is but knowledge of the first degree. The knowledge that we receive through this article is actually part of first degree knowledge. The initiates of the first degree were taught a variety of subjects, such as law, language, history, psychology, physiology, healing, spirituality. The law. The initiates of the first degree would be taught about the different types of law, from the laws of the tribes to the laws of the universe. They were taught about the mystery of good and evil, right and wrong, what is moral and what is immoral. They would be given a code of conduct to live by, a strict set of rules to follow. And these laws would come in a form of the 42 laws of Ma'at, or the 10 commandments of a healer, or the 10 great laws of God. This was also what was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And indeed, as initiates, our first enlightenment is to know what is good and what is not good. We must have a clear definition of this and act according to what is good. In other schools, all of these laws will be summed down to one great law, which is the law of oneness, or the law of love, or the law of conscience. If you are under the law of love, or the law of oneness, or the law of conscience, then you have automatically embodied all the other laws. This depends now on the school. In some cases, you find that first degree initiation is under the initiation of manhood and womanhood, and there you would be taught about the laws of the tribe, the moral behavior of a man or a woman. Then you'd be taught about the laws of the universe, such as the 7 universal laws, the laws of the mind, the law of gender, the law of vibration, correspondence, rhythm, etc. They will be taught about the laws of nature, the laws of life and death, and all kinds of, various laws that we already know. Language. Another subject that was taught was the language and the writings. Initiates of the first degree were all taught how to write and how to read. Many initiation schools had their own secret language, secret signs, secret whistles, secret postures, etc. Those who were using the common language, then they would have their own jargon. In Kemu, you were taught the language of the gods, the Meduneta, and how to write it. Among Abangoma Abafihluweyo, you were taught Isinzu and how to speak it and how to write it. Even among some traditional healers, there is a secret language that they only speak. This is definitely connected to the mystery about, speaking in tongues or spirit language. The language was also quite important. The language was also important because you had to study some ancient writings, ancient manuscripts, like Mandlalanga, who would give a portion of an ancient manuscript to his students to study for themselves. In other schools, you would be taken to a secret place in the bush where these writings are written in caves and in large immovable stones. So the students can read what is written for themselves and the master can provide explanations. On the other hand, the master would have also provided the proof of his teachings to say that I'm not just making things up, this is actually written in stones. Spirituality. During the first degree, you were taught about the mystery of God, the mystery of the soul and the spirit. Basically, the mystery of Ilos in a Torah. Initiates will be taught about the 7 principles of a human being, the mysteries we already covered on the previous episode. As initiates, we must be clear as to who and what God is. The mystery of God has always been connected with the mystery of the spirit and the mystery of the soul, right? The only reason why ancient people taught us about God is because they were really trying to teach us about ourselves. That's why people who don't believe in God don't usually believe in their own spirits and in their own soul. They don't believe that they have a spirit. So during the first degree, you were introduced to the mysteries of God, the mysteries of the ancestors, and the various spiritual hierarchies, right? You were taught about the mysteries of energy and the various kinds of energy intensities, the frequencies, you know, like the field that unifies everything, the golden strings that unites us all. During the first degree, the true nature of reality and the true nature of the self was explained. This is when you are taught that the true nature of the self is energy, the true nature of reality is energy. So, as much as you are a human being and you live in a physical world, you must know that everything is but a shadow in the mirror. It is not the real thing. True reality has no shadows, true self has no reflections. So you start with the realization that everything is energy, everything is in the mind of God. Nothing is 100% physical. The master must do everything he can to show this to the initiate, even practically. Because the initiate is sometimes, filled with doubts and, all these questions. And his senses keep convincing him that he is not energy. His senses keep telling him that he's a black human, a yellow human, a white human being. But the master must disturb this line of reasoning and prove to the initiate that his senses are deceiving him. The initiate of the first degree must learn how to look beyond the human senses. They must learn how to look beyond the human form. This will allow them to open up their consciousness to new possibilities. History. During the initiation of the first degree, initiates will be taught about the history of the tribe and the history of the world. This is when initiates will be taught about the history of the tribes, where exactly the tribe comes from. If it was a school of initiates, then they would also be taught about the history of their lineage, the history of their mystery school. During this time, the initiates will be taught about the origins of humanity, the extraterrestrial origins of humanity, and the extraterrestrial influence, within humanity. This was part of history, as these are the beings that gave them a civilization. The information about alien history was not really something that was hidden. It was not as hidden as it is now. In the ancient schools, this information was part of first degree knowledge. But as time went, when these initiations went underground, people had to undergo very serious procedures in order to gain such knowledge. Otherwise, this was common knowledge among the tribes. It was not something too secretive. The unity between the gods and human women, the creation of a hybrid being, the establishment of human civilizations, etc. They were, very common knowledge. Physiology and healing. During the first degree, initiates will be taught about the human body. Initiates had to learn how to take care of their own bodies. They were taught how to understand their own bodies and how to work with their own body. As you know, the body must be prepared. The biochemistry of the body must be gradually changed, and the body must be at its optimal level so that it can withstand the vibrations of Umoya, the rising energy. On the other hand, initiates would be taught about the different ways of healing. They were taught about different healing herbs and how to administer these herbs. They were taught how to recognize and diagnose different types of sicknesses. And on the other hand, they will be taught about the different types of food, the types of food to eat, the types of food to avoid. In other words, they will be taught about diet, and all of this was done to make sure that the body is always at its optimal level of health. And also, obviously, to equip initiates with the knowledge of healing. Communication with the spirit. During the first degree, initiates would also be taught how to divine. Basically, they were taught how to communicate with the spirit through prayer and how to receive messages from the spirit through divination. They were taught how to work with ilozi so that it can learn to send messages to itongo on your behalf. Initiates of the first degree were also taught how to talk to plants, animals, and stones. They were taught how to read energies and how to listen to the voice of intuition, how to listen to the body in order to receive messages from the spirit. Right. Initiates would be taught how to work with their dreams. They were taught how to activate their dreams and how to sharpen their dreams, how to ask questions and receive answers through dreams, how to divine through dreams and how to interpret those dreams. Also, during the first degree, initiates would be given divination tools, and they were taught how to use these tools. Divination tools were used for reading energies, diagnosing sicknesses, revealing hidden secrets, revealing the past, but they were never used to predict the future, and they were never used for contacting ancestral spirits, at least not in the first degree. Most importantly, divination tools were used to establish a communication bridge between you and Ilozi, between you and yourself. So this and more would be taught to the initiates of the first degree. This phase of learning was actually a preparation phase, upehlo, right? Preparing you for intwaso, initiation. When the elders are satisfied with your learning, you have passed all the tests and they see that you are prepared. You then undergo the process of initiation, which is the initiation of the first degree. It is called ukudla intwaso or ilanga lokufa. This was not a simple cleansing, it was an initiation of death and rebirth. Because when you undergo such a cleansing, you die and you come back renewed. When you go inside the water and come out, something in you gets left behind, and that is the old you. You literally resurrect into something new. And there is also an open channel that gets activated between you and the spirit. This is when you are also given a new name. And in some schools, yes, the name comes before initiation. In some schools and in some instances, you are given a new name because you are no longer your old self. You are now a new self and a new personality. Then, after you undergo this process of initiation, you become an official initiate of the first degree. You become Uhlaka, a first degree initiate. A first degree initiate while still under the tutelage of a teacher, of a master. You are given your tools, your herbs, your cloths, your garments, your power objects, and everything else you're going to need to fulfill your duties as Uhlaka, a first degree initiate. In some schools, they would also give you a crystal. This crystal would be attuned to the frequency of your idlozi, your energy body. As a result, it would glow and get clearer as you grow on your spiritual path. Such a crystal was there to guide you. It was there to help you to monitor your clarity and your light. Indeed, it was there to help you to monitor your shadows. Then, after some time, those who are deemed worthy would be initiated. They would be selected to be initiated further into the second degree. But before this happens, the Uhlaka, the initiate of the first degree, must work tirelessly on himself or herself until they have proven that indeed they are born again. They are no longer their old self. The old self, Pella, has many ways of coming back. It will always try to tempt the new self into returning to its old ways. So, Bakanyiselwa, in reading this article, it's like really we are being initiated into the first degree, right? Because the information here is the exact information that was given to the first degree initiate. Then it will be up to you to make yourself worthy of the second level of initiation. Bakanyiselwa, we've come to the end of our video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and do leave a comment on the comment section below. We really thank you for joining us today. We are just left with one lesson on abangoma abafihliweyo. Abangoma abafihliweyo bathi, mbathisa lokhu okubizwa ngokuthi izwi labantu ngengubo yolwazi. Funda-ke ukuthi noma iy'thunzela zakho ziningana, ubuwena bunye. Funda-ke ukuthi awunabafo, awunasitha, awunagobela kulo mhlaba, futhi wazi ukuthi lesi sibuko senzelwe ukukulekelela ekuhloleni imvelo yakho. Zila. The hidden ones say, cover the mirror named the world of man with the veil of knowledge and look upon yourself. Thus learn that though your shadows are legion, your true self is but one. Thus learn that you have neither brother nor foe nor teacher in all the world, and know that the mirror exists only to help you to read your own nature. Sila.